You read my mind, Pak. Okay, thank you very much. Welcome everyone. Welcome back actually. Okay, so we are in the third parallel session today, and my name is Farida Ulfa, and I will be the moderator for this session. We have three presenters today from Universitas Riau and Universitas Negeri Medan, and also Universitas Riau. And the first presenter is Ibu Sonia Lisia from Universitas Riau, and she is going to present the ICT integration for developing teachers' professional competence in the EFL classroom. So the time is yours, Ibu Sonia Lisia. Ibu Sonia Lisia, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear my voice? Hello?
Yeah, it's breaking, Ibu. She's gone. Oh, she's back.
Can you hear my voice now?
Yes, Ibu.
Anyway, can I share screen?
My pleasure, Ibu. Sure.
It is time for me to present, right? Thank you so much.
Yes, Ibu.
Thank you so much for the chance, Ibu Farida, to be honored to present in front of you. So let me share the screen first. The Honorable Mr. Berlin Sibarani. So let me share the PowerPoint. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, Ibu.
Can you see my screen? Okay. So let me share for you. Let's start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Is it clear enough for?
It is much better, Ibu.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the chance. My name is Sonia Lisia. Today, to be honored to present to you my paper entitled ICT Integration for Developing Teachers' Professional Competence in the EFL Classroom, IVICOLL International Virtual Conference in Language and Literature, October 28 until 29, 2022. So I am as the first author of this paper, Sonia Lisia, and the second author, Madum, and the third author is Purwanti Triindah, and I'm from University of Riau, Pekanbaru Riau, Indonesia. Before I'm starting to present the paper of my article, I would like to show you the background of this paper. So the background of this paper has been the advanced used in all aspects of human life. ICT brings many impact, especially for education systems. According to Almeri 2016, it is as an essential tool in facilitating asynchronous learning and supporting teaching and learning on site with effective and efficient, according to Pardede 2019 and Mahdum et al. 2019. So, still in the background, ICT may lead teachers to become creative and innovative because it has looks more varied and fun, according to Molina et al. 2021. ICT used for teaching and learning is not as something new in the
I think Ibu Sonia is gone. Ibu Sonia, you there?
I'm sorry. Can I continue?
Yeah, sure, Ibu.
Sorry for that. Yeah. The signal is unstable. I'm sorry. I lost for a moment. So let me continue to explain. Still in the background, ICT allows teachers to become creative and innovative because it has unique and interesting platform so that the classroom atmosphere looks more fairy and fun, according to Molina et al. 2020. First, ICT used for teaching and learning is not as something new in the education field, according to Padedi 2019. So ICT is proposed to be integrated at teaching and learning in the class. So according to our curriculum in Indonesian curriculum 2013, mentioned that ICT is integrated in the whole subject, particularly for English required according to 19. In the teaching and learning English as the foreign language, the teacher need to be adapted with ICT, and it is used for gauging students' motivation, achievements, and goal of learning English according to Molail and Biasati 2013. Teaching English is not as easy as we think without using media or platform. It is supported that ICT provides sources, authentic materials, verbal and non-verbal media to be applied at EFL classroom according to Asnali et al. 2015. Based on the primary observation done by the researcher that English teachers in Riau province nowadays Indonesia rarely integrate ICT for their teaching and learning in the English class. The primary interview was also given to 5 English teachers from Pekanbaru Riau, Pekanbaru, Duri, Dumai, Sia, and Kampar region. They mentioned that their reason for not implementing ICT because they have lack of knowledge, skills, and willingness. So this is the main issues that was found by the researcher at the very first place. So this paper focuses on ICT integration for teaching and learning English and professional expertise using ICT at teaching English. So actually there are 3 or about ICT integration in the competency of using ICT are used in which this article published in current year from 26 to 2022. So based on the background of the paper, the researcher can convey that there are 3 research question or formulation of the problem of this paper. First, what are demographic of characteristic of English teachers in your province? The second, is there any contribution between English teachers' competencies and the integration of ICT? The third one, what are the hindrances of EFL teachers to improve their professional competencies in teaching English? So these are the research question for this paper. So let's jump to the methodology. For this, in this paper, the researchers interested to apply mixed method approaches. According to Kotari 2014, mixed method is a process of collecting data by using the quantitative data at the beginning and the qualitative data is used to strengthen. Mixed method design is effective to make the data more complex and detailed according to Almerich 2016. These 2 ideas agree that mixed methods can be useful for conducting depth research by combining both qualitative and quantitative methods. That's why the researchers are interested to conduct the research by mixed or design. So for the population and the sample, so the population of the sample, according to Arikunto 2014, state that the population are participants who all participate in the research. So in this research, population were 1,104 English students from Riau province. The level was in the secondary school. The data are shown below. From Kwansing 121, Kwansing ini in the Giri Hulu 2079, as you can see in the table. This is the population of this paper. And for the sample were 113 participants who were chosen by using random sampling technique in which it based on Arikunta's 2007 theory of collecting sample. The random sampling for choosing the sample used by the formula below. And cross 10% means that the population 1,104 cross 10%, so there are 110.4 people will participate or have been participate in this paper. This formula adapted from article 2017. Still in the sample, based on the result that there were 113 participants who were participated in this research. So the researcher decided to take the whole respondent as the sample. This idea is supported by Sugiono 2017 that if the population is under 100, they must be taken as the sample. However, he also urges that samples can be taken based on the need of the research and the researcher. So based on the fact that the researcher found that there are 113 participants, but actually we only need 110, but we include two of them. So there are 113. The reason why, because based on the theory and based on the need of the research itself. And for data were collected by using online questionnaire as the main instrument for the collecting data, both quality and quantitative data. The data were in the form of Google Form. The online questionnaire were divided into 3 parts. First is about demographic characteristic. Second is dealing with the competency and ICT integration based on the 3 components, using computers and using platform. I'm sorry, 2 components, using computer and using platform. Last is used to collect qualitative data about the hindrance of English teachers face to improve their professional competences in teaching English further. Still in the data, for analysis technique, the researcher applied SPSS 2004 to 24.0 and open-ended question for the qualitative data. And based on the result that has been found by the researcher from the demographic characteristic of the English teacher at Riau province, the demographic characteristics shown as the table below. For the age, the highest number or the highest response are from 25 people. So the percentage is 43. So, and 72.7 is from female, and I can show you later in my paper, but this is the description of the table. So this is the demographic characteristic. And teaching, this is the teaching background. They say no for 98.1, no experience for teaching by teaching background, yeah, teaching background. And for background of education, 97.3 were graduated from undergraduate degree or S1 degree. And for certification, the respondent mentioned that they are not participated or they don't have any certification like certificate keguruan or certificate keguruan, I mean. And for the employment status, they are mostly non-PNS or non-civil servant. So 95.8 are non-civil servant. For the personal PC, they agree that the answer yes for 99.1 agree that they have their own personal PC. For the availability of the computer at school, they say that no, yeah, good in 0.61.1%. And for attending seminar or training or socialization about ICT, they mention only 52% participated. No, they don't even participate for attending ICT seminar. And for the result of competency, the second research question related to the competencies, is there any contribution about competency and the interrogation of the ICT itself? So this is the result. As it mentioned that the highest response for the researcher implied for Likert scale, negative and positive response. For negative response, it is showed without not, but for negative response, the researcher applied not for the statement for negative response. Let's see for the statement number 1 and 2. The differences is for the first question, it is about positive. I can use a document in Microsoft Word, and the response is the highest response refer to strongly agree for 46.0. And the second one, I cannot create PowerPoint in my class, means that this is negative response, and they answer refer to strongly disagree or SD. The score also the highest one, 37.2. So based on this result, the researcher can conclude that mostly the use of computer itself for teacher refer to in the mean of or in the average, not in the highest one. And also, this is the second part of the component for competency in using platform. First, it is about using computer, and the researcher will find out whether they can use platform or not during teaching English in the classroom. So this is the result. I'm sorry. So this is the result. I can show you. Let me give you example like the response. Same with the previous one, I show the positive and negative response. For negative, will be the highest. Response will refer to strongly disagree, and for the positive will be referred to strongly agree. So this is the result. I can show you this one. So there are 15 questions asked by the researcher for using platform, because so many platforms used by the teachers nowadays, and they are required to implement ICT, especially platform for improving or developing their strategy. So 15 questions are included from negative and positive. So they are required to fill out the questionnaire based on their own or personal view. And there is the result for the hindrance that teachers face in order to improve their professional competencies. The researcher would have find out that pedagogical hindrance as the main issue based on related to their competence. In teaching and learning English using online platform, English teachers revealed that pedagogical issues such as English teachers are unknowledgeable to operate the computer, the limited time for teaching using ICT in the English subject. Students have lack of knowledge, information about ICT, so the English teachers need extra time to teach them to run English online platform. The teaching English subject preparation using ICT spend more time, too much English teachers job, so teachers don't have time to design or making design materials using ICT, and etc. You can see that. English content also cannot be transferred clearly because the students are not concentrate, because the teacher also are not available of using the platform itself, online platform for the pedagogical, and because the hindrance, so this it also impact to their competency. It is not as easy for English teacher to adapt with the development of ICT for teaching English subject. Students don't really concentrate in listening and understand English materials using ICT, less skill of using. This is the qualitative result that has been shared to the participant. The researcher have shared it and asked the participant and English teachers to fill out their own view about what happened in the field and their teaching process. So this is the open-end question. First, related to pedagogical hindrance, and the second one, a technical obstacle. For the technical obstacle, English teachers in the province mentioned unstable
Ibu
and limited.
Sonia, I'm
Yes?
really sorry, but the time for the presentation is up.
Okay.
Okay, maybe you can wrap up, Ibu.
So I stop the sharing. Oh, can I conclude first?
Yeah, Ibu, sure.
So this is the technical obstacle. And for the conclusion, therefore, the use of ICT in teaching, learning, and teachers' ability in applying ICT for their teaching performance are required to the advancement of the education industrial revolution 4.0, especially EFL teachers. They must master ICT to develop their pedagogical skills, competencies, and their style for teaching English as a foreign language. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Sonia, for the presentation. And Bapak Ibu, we only have 3 minutes for the questions and answer session. I think it's only have like one question, maybe. Bapak Berlin, any question? Ibu Syasda, Bapak Ibu audience, monggo.
Nggak enak juga kalau nggak ada pertanyaan ya.
Ya.
Jadi,
Monggo Bapak.
ya di sinilah
Time is
mungkin
yours.
kita di sinilah mungkin kita sampai selesai ini ya. Nanti jangan saya presentasi terakhir pada pergi pula. Okay, well, I think you are talking about the ICT. Do you, well, in doing some training teachers, which is called by PPG right now, there is a TPEC, technology, content knowledge, the technology, content knowledge, and technology, content, and pedagogical knowledge. So this is a kind of integrations too, the integrations of the technology based on content knowledge and pedagogy. Well, in your research, it is not quite clear how the integration was conducted. But when I look at your ways of collecting the data, you're just making something like a questionnaire. Strongly agree. This is something like looking at what the teacher's opinion about the ICT. So, well, probably how could you explain the ICT integration?
Yes, answer directly, sir.
Yes, no. Just ask Ibu Farida Ulfa.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Can she answer directly or?
Yeah, sure, Bapak. Yeah.
Okay.
We only have like 2 minutes left. Monggo, Ibu Sonia.
Thank you so much for the question, Mr. Berlin. So how I mention ICT is integrated for teaching English or teaching in the EFR classroom. Here, I would like to see whether the competencies influence their way in integrating ICT. So that's why there will be an issue of obstacle faced by them. So I would like to see whether by using platform and using computers may influence them in integrating ICT in the classroom, like that, Mr. And additional response, I would like to say that I'm not talking about TPSK, and I just want to see whether ICT influence in the classroom and can develop their professional teaching, the teaching competencies like that.
Okay, that's it. Thank you for your answers, Ibu Sonia Lisia. Yeah? Sonia Lisia.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ibu Sonia and Bapak Professor Berlin. I think we need to move along with our next session. I'm really sorry to cut the interesting talk. Yeah. So for the second presenter, I would like to invite Ibu Syasda Adila Putri from Universitas Riau. Yes. With the topics entitled A Literature Review Model as a Learning Management System, LMS, in an EFL classroom. Ibu Syasda, the time is yours.
Thank you so much.
So you have 15 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for questions and answers. Thank you.
Noted. Thank you. All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to say thank you for the chance in IVICOLL conference, and I'd like to share my screen first. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, is my screen?
Yes, Ibu.
All right, I cannot present them automatically, so I'd like to talk about a literature review particularly Moodle, as a learning management system in EFL classroom. So the background of this literature review is that the prior issue of the COVID-19 pandemic had boosted and promoted technological integration in the education field. It's not like technology is new to this education field, but it is more boosted and more promoted since the pandemic. And then, but still, there are individuals who are still in denial about the effectiveness of technology integration in teaching, right? According to Manadla and Hadi 2021, the vision of distance education, which is promoted by the COVID-19 pandemic, is to help learners who are unable to attend regular full-time classes achieve their educational goals, which has some characteristics, which are adaptability, flexibility, and student learning centeredness. In particular, I would like to discuss about the Moodle as an LMS, object-oriented dynamic learning environment, or Moodle, provides the most adaptable set to support blended learning and online courses. The reasons of the statement are: it integrates everything required for a course by utilizing its extent of built-in features, including external cooperative mechanisms such as forums, wikis, chats, and blogs. It is also based, user-friendly nature, multimedia support, student progress tracking, and feedback option. Two, which offers a lot to promote language instruction. And then the question which is going to be answered by this literature review is: how effective is the use of Moodle in teaching English language skills? And this methodology, of course, literature review, in which is a compilation, categorization, and assessment of what other researchers have written on a specific topic. And the focus in this literature review is vocabulary and grammar, Moodle in listening, reading, Moodle in pronunciation and speaking, and Moodle in writing. So the first one, I'm going to talk about Moodle in vocabulary and grammar. So a study conducted by Alavi and Kivan Shaku in 2012 discovered in extensive reading can help students learn new words. Students who completed the Moodle Reader course showed greater and more significant gains in vocabulary acquisition, despite the fact that their vocabulary recognition did not improve significantly. And the Moodle Reader can help students improve their vocabulary, which should be encourages creativity in creating reading materials. And then Baitani and Myers in 2017 conducted a quasi-experimental study comparing the learner by EFL student using traditional methods versus using Moodle. The experimental group scores differ significantly, in which obviously the control group is different significantly. Students were able to materials and regularly self-assess the posted contents in the class which use Moodles, and then they could receive immediate feedback, allowing them to and then students were also very active in the forum, discussing and correcting their peers' errors. And then move on to the listening focus. Cordova in 2018 investigates the utility of Moodle in improving students' listening abilities. The findings indicates that the role of technology-related tools and systems, as well as students' effectiveness and autonomy in learning process is critical in improving their ability. And then students also admit that the immediate feedback feature is appealing to them because it allows them to correct their mistakes in a flexible manner. Another study, Listening by Hyun Kam 2021, discovered that Moodle can be used as an e-assessment tool. So not only featuring immediate feedback, but also e-assessment. And then according to the results of the experimental study, students' listening and performance in the final test was significantly higher than in the pre-test. Participants were also excited about the assessment, probably because the new variation in the progress of learning and teaching. So notably, average listening and reading, it's 2 level have increased. And then Meow and Mouse 2018 study goal is to look how the platform influences the design of teaching materials, specifically in listening. And then the finding suggests that Moodle is important in the pre-listening, in listening, and post-listening phases of English listening. And then the questionnaire survey shows that the platform is well liked by students. Around 80% of students want to continue using the Moodle platform to improve their English listening skills. And the Moodle platform positively influences English learning, resulting in a significant change in their listening scores, and teachers can also benefit from the platform by creatively creating and posting materials and assessments. And then for reading, by Tanya and Maya's 2017 investigate the platform effect on learning reading skills, as does a study of Moodle, in which the finding indicates that incorporating Moodle into learning process results a statistically significant difference in the experimental groups like scanning, skimming, overall reading comprehension. Despite the time and place, it is believed that students are engaged in the process, particularly with the always ready material. And then students can access the available slides and quizzes multiple times, allowing them to manage their learning. So in this is more correlated with the autonomous learning. And then scanning has been students' preferred reading skill and followed by skimming. And another study by Shirzad and Abadi in 2019, which proposed to AFL learners self-sufficiency in reading comprehension using scaffolding and jigsaw, but in the conventional and computer-assisted, in this case, Moodle. So according to the finding, jigsaw and scaffolding are successful in both traditional and computer-assisted, but scaffolding here in particular proved to be more effective in terms of context. Computer-assisted or Moodle is established to outperform the other. Participants can learn more flexibly, receive immediate feedback, and be more suitable for the various personalities of participants in learning. Communicative and cooperative behavior. And for reading, the last one, I think, Castro in 2017 conducted research on Moodle as a medium for improving reading skills, in which the finding suggests that the method is appealing, organized, and contextualized virtual reading worksheet could be used to improve students' reading comprehension by utilizing a variety of reading strategies that aided in their vocabulary development. And the use of Moodle provides influential for students to designate their language learning process, particularly in reading comprehension. Next, we go to the pronunciation and speaking focus. Hyland in 2020 conducted research to investigate learners' perception of hybrid learning in learning and practicing pronunciation. Moodle, in this case, is the platform that was used in this study. Findings suggest that Moodle is considered efficient, in which materials can be accessed via the platform in this, sorry, I think I made some here. And then the concept is regarded as a good variation that piques learners' interest. According to the statement, the concept gives learners control over their learning, and it is preferred for certain types of learner. For example, the shy ones, the platform may be administered a learning system that allows them to practice on their own, so they don't have to communicate directly into other human beings, and does not requires learner to practice in front of a large group of people. So it is more helpful for them. And then Trong in 2021 conducted research proposed to find out what students think about Moodle, and approximately 66% of participants have a favorable attitude toward Moodle's efficacy in comprehending speaking skill, and the platform includes features that allow students to engage in prolonged and repeated practices, which leads to the acquisition of new knowledge. Similarly, students agree that this motivate them to learn new words and choose vocabulary more intentionally when conversing with peers. It even assists students in correcting their pronunciation. And then students can also receive feedback from teachers and peers, which they find it useful. And the last focus is writing. Kurniawan and Septiana in 2021 conducted another study on the use of Moodle in writing class. The goal is to investigate how students experience using Moodle in writing class during the pandemic of COVID-19. And the findings suggest that Moodle has many elements that might assist students to enhance their creativity writing skills. It provides a writing environment, making it easy to collect assignments and deliver written output. Moodle helps them improve their writing skill. And on Moodle, students can see comments on their peers as well as their own. It might be utilized to provide creative to help people improve their writing skills. According to the students, the use of Moodle in the writing well received. And then a study by Ziad in 2020 investigated tertiary education students' formation and participation in writing course hosted on Moodle. The findings suggest that the majority of participants, according to the findings, have no problem using the Moodle. Outside of class, students prefer course activities and discussion. The student are confirmed to be using Moodle based on their login reports. And in this particular study, safe to conclude that the learning environment is much more suited and beneficial to students. So in conclusion to our my presentation today, preceding studies, it is safe to conclude that Moodle can be used effectively in this may be a good suggestion for those who is still denial in using technology integration to be utilized in the AFL classroom. So the reasons are the adaptability, allow students to access language materials whenever and wherever they want. Quiz feature complete with answer keys allow students to repeatedly practice and learn skills, increasing student comprehension. And then chat rooms and other collaborative tools may allow teachers to communicate with one another. It allows them to discuss and correct their mistakes of the mistakes of other students or peers. And then students have the authority to manage their learning according to their preferences. And lastly, student benefits from the provided quick feedback feature because they can quickly identify and correct their mistakes. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ibu Syatza. I think it's time for us to the sharing session. Kayaknya lebih asik sharing ya daripada questions and answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Bapak Ibu, I invite you for the sharing session. Monggo.
Excuse me, can I ask something?
Yes, Ibu Sonia, sure. Monggo.
Because nowadays, Mr. Berlin and others, we see that our teachers are not as upgrade as we think, and teachers, even they have already get the training, but they are not really implemented the technology for their teaching process. Anyway, for model itself, do you believe that teachers can implement this model, but actually there are so many models that they are not implemented?
Yeah. Can I answer directly?
Yes, Ibu Syatza, sure.
Okay,
the time is yours.
Ibu Sonia. So your question is it really effective to use this kind of model to the learning activities? Correct?
Yeah, because there are so many model for teaching and learning. So is it do you believe that this model will be implemented for the teachers, especially the one who live in the rural area or in the outside of the central or position out of the province?
Thank you so much. So yeah, I think that your question is very good because people who lives in rural area may have difficulties in having technology-based media in the education field, but also my focus here is to diminish the idea that some people, when they are asked to integrate the technology in the educational field. So there are so many LMS actually, Moodle only one, but the concept is quite the same, and it is already been integrated nationally and of course internationally, like as Professor Berlin said, or in PPG also you right now using LMS for their uh, learning progress, and I think it is more because the process is being recorded, yeah, and the quality is also being controlled right now by using the LMS. So uh, uh, more or less, I think if in the rural area is the problem, it's not the LMS. The LMS is not the problem, but the facility provided for them is the problem. So if you ask about the effectiveness, of course it is effective, but in rural area, I think the facility is the problem, not the effectiveness of the LMS itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Setsa.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other question? Bapak Berlin?
Well, I think if you are talking about Moodle, it is a part of the technology, ICT, like what Ibu yang dari Hong Kong ya, kemarin Hong Kong, the use of technology in education. Well, to me, technology is just a tool, but the designs of the materials itself is the most important. That's why in PPG, technology is not discussed separately, but technology should be developed in connection with the content and pedagogy. Probably if you have different ideas of the content and different ideas of technology, that will ideas of the content and pedagogy that will produce a different technology. Let me say, for example, if I ask you, for example, what you mean by reading comprehension, do you have any idea? I would like to show the interrelationship between the content and technology, including the learning management system. If I ask you, for example, what do you mean by reading comprehensions? What can you say? What would you tell me? What is reading comprehension? Let's say, for example.
Reading comprehension is the ability and capability to understand information by reading something.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, probably Ibu Sonia Alicia probably have a different ideas of what is meant by reading comprehension.
Yes, Prof. For me, reading comprehension means how we deliver, how we give the material to students, and we would like to see whether they can comprehend the text, and after that they present it to us like that. They absorb or they get engaged into the text or materials.
Okay, so the key idea probably getting understanding to understand. Well, if you see a current theory of reading comprehension is defined as meaning reconstructions by applying the information available in the text as the cues and the background knowledge you have. So if I define reading comprehensions the way I just told you, and I will develop the teaching of reading comprehension differently from the way you do. And I will also employ the ICT differently from the way you do. So that is the interrelationship between content knowledge and technology. So that's why yesterday I told to Ibu yang dari Hong Kong itu, technology is just only a means. It's not an end. So probably we need to pay attention to this one. So it is not good to claim ourselves that we are professional teachers just only because you apply technology. It depends on how much the applications of technology facilitate the learning. So you see, dulu waktu baru pertama kali muncul COVID, sehingga kita pakai aplikasi, pakai Google Meeting dan seterusnya. Saya mengatakan bahwa Zoom, Google Meeting dan yang lain-lain itu bagaikan transportasi saja yang bisa mengangkat berbagai barang, dan orang akan puas jika komoditi yang diangkat itu bagus-bagus. Jadi bukan karena truknya yang bagus, tapi begitu dilihat banyak apel Malang yang sudah busuk atau sudah kerdil lalu sampai kepada konsumen, mereka tidak mengagumi truknya, tapi mereka akan jengkel dengan buah apel dari batu yang disampaikan ke tempat kita sudah busuk-busuk. That's the content of the itu mungkin we need to pay attention. Technological obstacles mungkin betul juga, like what Ibu Sonia Lisa say, we need to provide technology. Okay. Jangankan itu ya, Zoom ini aja pun bisa nge-lag suara kita.
Couldn't agree more, Pak. That's a very interesting analogy.
Thank you.
So the instrument alat pengangkut dan yang diangkut. Yes.
Yeah.
Point taken, Bapak. Thank you.
Alat pengangkutnya sih gerobak-gerobak yang tidak bagus, tapi di dalamnya apel-apel Malang yang sangat bagus-bagus sekali.
Masya Allah.
Ya, terlupakanlah alat angkutnya yang kurang bagus itu. Memang agak jengkel sih, lama nyampenya. Tapi begitu sampai, syukurlah. That's it.
Thank you very much, Bapak Ibu. That's a very insightful and interesting talk, yeah. And I think it's time for the last presenter to share their screen. The last presenter will be Bapak Berlin Sibarani and Ibu Betaria Sembiring Pandia from Universitas Negeri Medan. Are you going to present alone, Bapak?
Yes, I will present it myself.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the topic is teaching English as a vocational schools, a case study on asking and giving information as a genre-based approach implementation. So Bapak Berlin Sibarani is a lecturer at English Education Department and Postgraduate Program for master and doctorate degree at Universitas Negeri Medan. His area of interest are psycholinguistic and English language education. The time is yours, Bapak.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to share my PowerPoint. Have you seen my PPT now? Not yet?
Unfortunately, not yet, Bapak.
Not yet.
Yes.
Okay. This is it. Can you see it now?
It is now.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, let's talk about this one. Probably this might inspire us. This is the reflections from our classroom teaching practices. So teaching English at vocational schools, a case study on asking and giving information as genre-based approach implementation. Do you know that the purpose of teaching English to our students is to enable the students to use the language communicatively in various genres. In short, we expect that the students can describe something, can narrate something, can explain something, can argue something. This is some kinds of the genres. That is the purpose of teaching English. While the purpose of teaching English in the vocational schools, I think it's just the same. It's not different, except in the types of genre applied. Well, as English in vocational schools is considered to be something like English for specific purpose. So we just go to the specificity of the subject, the specificity of the discipline proposed in the subject. Like, let's say, specificity of language in electrics, language in civil, and so on. But the fact shows that most of the students of both general schools have low ability to use English communicatively. Well, they have spent a lot of time studying English, but the fact shows that they are still not good at using the language communicatively. Let's see some, in order to understand this, let's see some review of related literature, how this theory explains this phenomena. I would like to discuss theories in 4 parts related to English at vocational schools. The teaching of English at vocational schools itself, the English curriculum and its relationship to genres, the theory of schemata, and genre is a part of schemata, that is a formal schemata, and the rules of asking and giving information in terms of transactional and interactional. English at vocational school should be based on need analysis. The need analysis will try to find the requirements of English in the working place. This need analysis can be conducted by doing the interview, to interview effective workers, and to interview head and staffs in personal and human resources development, and to do observation as well as documentary study. So this is a shortcut to teach English in vocational schools. So the purposes of teaching English in vocational schools is to develop the graduates to become effective workers, as effective as required by the working place. So the rules of need analysis is very important to decide how the English should be taught and what should we teach to the students. English at vocational schools can be categorized as English for specific purpose, and the need analysis take a very important role. And the need analysis can function as to govern the teaching materials. So what material should we teach, what language skills should we teach, depends on the results of the need analysis. And the purpose of doing all of this is to develop the students to be an effective workers. And this is a shortcut to English. Well, in addition to this purpose, I think English at vocational schools, especially for senior high schools, also for academic development in the future. Now let's look at the English curriculum. English curriculum, especially the K13, applies the gender approach. And let me define what is meant by approach. Approach, as a matter of fact, is a philosophical assumptions on how language is learned and what language is, the natures of subject matter. So the way how you teach depends on your philosophical assumptions on the natures of what you're going to teach and the natures of how people learn a language. Just like what I exemplified just now, if you have a different ideas, different concept, different definitions of, let's say, reading comprehension, and then this will be realized in different ways of teaching. Gender approach deals with three factors, just like social functions, text structures, linguistic features. So let's see grammars. So the utilizations of these materials is to be in communicative events and purpose of the communications and so on. So the genre will help us to say how to say what we are going to say. And this is applied in English curriculum 13. Schema theory can be divided into two: content schemata and formal schemata. Content schemata is knowledge of the word or the content knowledge of this any course. It is the subject matter. And the formal schemata is the text genres. These text genres will be the frame for both productions and comprehension. In the frame structures of the productions, lexicals and sentence structures will enable you to produce the structures, and the formal schemata will enable you to make predictions and also monitoring and evaluations in the process of reading comprehension. So when I talk about productions, I'm talking about speaking and writing. And when I talk about comprehensions, I'm talking about the listening and reading. Asking for information and giving for information. Well, asking for information and giving for information is very important in two layers. That is for transactional and interactional. And the transactional and interactional is based on the genre, the text structures, which is also the social function as the goal of the communications, and the text structures as the way how you should convey what you are going to convey in language. And asking for information and giving for information. So the asking for information and giving for information is the practice to develop the students' skills in using the language, both transactionally and interactionally. The designs of this study is descriptive qualitative, but it belongs to confirmatory and evaluative. The data are taken from transcripts of recorded observations of teachers' teaching performances and documents. The analysis was conducted by using the related theory as a temporary category of data analysis to identify, classify, and to see the interrelationship of the identified classification. The results of the study, the study shows that no specific genres are taught in vocational schools. The genres are the same as what we find in general in senior high schools. I expect that at vocational schools, even though it is not specific to their major, like electric or civil engineering, at least they select some genres like procedure text and descriptive text probably, and also explanative text. You see, if this is what is happening in the vocational schools, I believe that this is because the curriculum is developed not based on the need analysis. There is no need analysis was conducted to find or to identify the specific genre that should be taught in vocational schools. This is the first finding of this research. And the second, the genre are taught explicitly, meaning that information is provided, explanations are given about the social functions, text structures, and linguistic features. And the reflections or the discussion of this finding is that this results in the memorizations of the three aspects of the genre. The schemata theory said that the genre is formal schemata, which governs language productions and facilitates expectation, monitoring, and predictions in language comprehension. The teaching of genre should end up in skills of language productions and comprehension. Genre awareness in EFL context should be developed implicitly through reading, listening, writing, and speaking in different genres. So what is happening in the classroom interactions is just only telling the students the text structure, telling the students the social function, telling the students the lexicons, telling the students the types of grammar commonly used in a certain genre. Results to be lexicons of genre are taught through translation. The discussion related to this result is lexicons or vocabularies are grouped or united in genre. Mastering this lexicon should end up with the language productions and comprehension. Genre is communicative context of this lexical meaning. So lexicon should not be separated from its context, that is the genre itself. Teaching this lexicon through translation is separating the lexicons from the genre where the lexicons are used. So the lexicon should not be taught separately, but should be taught in context. And of course, this way of teaching the lexicons of certain genre is not does not fit to the theory of using the genre approach. The finding number 3, sentence structures are prescribed, explicitly taught. Rules for sentence constructions are provided. Prescriptions of how to arrange words to build sentence structurally correct. These are provided in the classroom. So what I think of this practice is that this result in the memorizations of structural rules. This does not facilitate the students to produce and comprehend language in certain genre. This teaching again separated grammar from its context, namely the genre in which the structures are used. Within this genre, not only sentence formation is facilitated, but also syntactical meaning if the sentence structures teaching is not separated from its genres. This is the results of analysis 3A. Asking questions is performed only by the teachers, while giving information is performed only by the students. Rules for sentence constructions are provided, prescriptions of how, oh sorry, this must not belong to this one. Okay, so you see, asking questions and giving information is done in separate ways, not done in interactional mode. This results in imbalanced language use. It is mostly limited to comprehending the language itself, while producing the language is less. Asking questions should also be facilitated in order to enable them to use the language transactionally and interactionally. 3B, the questions raised by the teachers are limited to asking the social function, text structures, and linguistic features of a genre. The question related to the sentence structures are limited to structural rules. The questions related to the lexicons are limited to the contents and functions of the words used in a genre. This results in the memorizations of social function, text structures and linguistic features without enabling them to use the text structure, structural rules, and lexicons to produce and comprehend the language in certain genres. This is the results of 3C. The questions raised by the teachers are meant to check the students' success memorizations of the social function, text structures, and linguistic features in a genre. Reflections, asking for information and giving information about genre are not meant to measure memorization, but to facilitate the students' language comprehensions and production within a certain genre. Asking for information and giving information should both be performed by the students in order to develop the students' ability to use the language communicatively in a genre. In conclusion, the teaching of English at vocational schools is not yet based on the working place requirements, nor on further academic development. The activities of asking for information and giving information are misperceived, and consequently, the teachers fail to help the students to produce and comprehend language in various genres. Suggestion: text structures and linguistic features of a genre should be taught implicitly through immersing the genre itself. Text structures and linguistic features should be facilitated simultaneously, focusing on language comprehensions and production skills. I think that's all my presentations, and I will give it back to Ibu Farida. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Professor Berlin, for the presentation. I just got warned by the committee, the time is up, but maybe we can have one question or I don't know, curhat moment maybe, before we go back to the main room. Would it be okay, Bapak Berlin?
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah,
no problem.
monggo, Bapak Ibu. Just one, maybe, just one, before we go back to the main room.
Well, if there is no question, that's okay too.
That's okay too. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe we can contact Professor Berlin, yeah, for the question or any inquiries based on the materials, yeah, because this one is very interesting, yeah. So thank you so much, everyone. It was a great presentation, yeah. We appreciate you being here today. And now, moving along to the next session, I would like to invite you back to the main room for the closing ceremony of IVICOLL 2022. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time. And let us give the presenters a virtual applause. Thank you very much, Bapak Ibu.
Thank you.
Mohon maaf kalau ada kekurangan. Terima kasih.
Makasih Ibu.
Sama-sama.
Thank you, Ibu Farida. Thank you,
Sama-sama, Ibu.
Professor Lee.
Sampai ketemu suatu
Sehat-sehat
ketika
semuanya.
di Malang, ketemu di Riau.
Amin,
See
Bapak
you soon
Berlin.
in
Ya,
Malang and
sampai
Riau.
ketemu.
See you
Sure,
soon.
ya.
Ibu berdua ini dari satu universitas atau dari berbeda universitas? Ibu Lisia sama Ibu udah terus hilang dia.
Satu
Oke.
universitas, Prof.
Oke, baik.
Yeah,
Oke, sampai ketemu di lain
we
waktu.
are in the same faculty, in the same study.
Oke.
Sehat-sehat Bapak Ibu semua. Terima kasih.
Yeah, thank you, Ibu Farida. Sehat, Prof.